Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're going to review and play Runes: The Forgotten Path, a game by Stormborn Studio, released on the Steam Store on November 14th, 2018. It normally retails for $15.99 for the HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and Windows Mixed Reality. I actually bought this game on the Oculus Store on sale for $7.49, and I think given all the game's positives and negatives, I think the sale price is a better price for this game. Not that it's not worth the normal price, because there are high production values here. It's just the overall game suffers from just the lack of polish, and it's just a little too clunky. And when you look at the game at first, the first impression is this is a huge open world adventure, with a story. And there is a story here. It's a nice story, but it's anything but a huge adventure. You're actually usually stuck in this one room that you'll be seeing over and over and over again, and only seldom do you go out of this room for what seems like cutscenes where you just do very basic and simple tasks. I would say Runes: The Forgotten Path is more a puzzle game than any other game type that I could describe to it. It does have other elements. It's not just puzzles, but a lot of the game is just puzzles. Even the combat, and I'm going to show a lot of the combat. In fact, I'm going to show probably the only combat really in the whole game. And that's where you finally get to use all your spells, all these spells that you've been training along to learn, and you finally use it in this final battle. And unfortunately, what happens is you only really need to use two of them, and the whole battle thing is just too clunky. Now, there is free locomotion. There's actually 3 types of locomotions, and you'll use each of them during separate times of the game. You don't have to use full locomotion, but I strongly suggest it. I think this game might be too difficult if you don't use full locomotion. You also have straight teleportation, which is available at times, and then you have like this third-person movement style that's a little combination, I guess, of full locomotion and straight teleportation. You basically just control your avatars as a third person and just select where it wants to go, then you just get teleported there. There's 5 different spells that you learn. They are gesture based, but you never really need to use all of them. There's 2 types of fireballs that you learn, one that's really quick and a big fireball explosion that you learn at the very end and that you never use for anything that I could ever recall. Then you have your death grip. Now this is a really good spell, and this is the one that I used a lot to beat most of the enemies, and that's pretty cool. You also have telekinesis, which once you learn the death grip, I'm not sure there's any purpose at all to the telekinesis anymore. And you have your ice blocker, your ice shield, which I never used past one puzzle. So yeah, there definitely could have been a better use of thought into this game, more thought put into the combat so that you have to use all the spells, because I only used the ice shield spell for one thing in the whole game. I never used it for any other reasons. This quick fireball is the best one, because these enemies are immune to the fireball explosions, so it does no good, so you never use it, and you just learn this spell right before this big finale combat. And yeah, you never use it for any reason. Then the death grip, obviously you're using the telekinesis you don't use here. After you learn this death grip, you don't really use telekinesis. There is snap turning. I did experience a few issues. I experienced a crash, nothing game breaking, and I did get stuck in a few places, but I was able to get out with just a few tries. I did enjoy the story to this game. I thought it was the best part of this game, but it feels like a prologue to a bigger game. But instead the game just ends. So the game does end on a cliffhanger, just when you think, okay, I finally got out of this place, now let's start our big adventure. The game ends. From start to finish, the game took me a little over 3 hours. Did I have fun? Sort of, yeah. I mean, there were really huge moments in this game. Moments where I felt, alright, this is getting good, but then it just like disappoints. and you're doing something else. And so this game has a big build up, and the build up is really good, and you're like, wow, I really like where this story is going. This is interesting. But then it just like falls flat on its face every single time, and so there is a bit of disappointment in playing this game. So yes, I did have some fun. There were some really epic looking moments, but it never is epic. It never is great. It's like you can see the greatness, potential, but it just never reaches that potential. And I guess that's kind of sad. I guess it leaves like a bitter taste in your mouth, because you see the possibilities of how this game could have been really good, and it just fails to be really good. In fact, I would rate it a 6.5 out of 10 overall, which is not bad. I mean, it's better than most VR games out there, and I am recommending this game. But be warned, this is, in case you're wondering, this is mostly a puzzle game. So, in fact, it feels like a puzzle escape room for most of the game, rather than some big open epic adventure that it's coming off as at the very start. At least that's how you think it's gonna go. Like, all right, I'm ready. I've learned my magic. Let's go out and do some great magical stuff with it. And then you just use it to solve puzzles. And then there's this combat at the very end, which I don't know. You move too slow is a big problem here. If you don't move, though, you're gonna get crushed. I tried this battle without moving. I tried it stationary, just blocking, and it's definitely more hectic that way and more fun. But it was just too difficult, so I decided, okay, let me just move around, and then it actually became boring. It's a little too simple, and it just felt too slow and too clunky, and just way too simple, because again, there's no reason to use the other magic spells. You're just using Death Grip and that quick fireball spell, not the fireball explosion. But now for these spells, they're gesture based, so you do use these really quick. You change from spell to spell, and I think with a better designed game, that'd be kind of interesting, kind of challenging, and fun to do that. But I never really needed to quickly change spells. I usually just at the very beginning had to do the gesture-based spell to get the spell that I wanted. When you click A or X on your controller, you do slow down time, so it makes it easy to make these hand gestures and get the correct spell. That's the one really good thing about this game. Is a lot of other gesture-based magic games, it's really clunky. You get the wrong spell. Not with this game, because you have like little outlines of exactly where to draw the spell. So it's never really difficult. You got the slow down time ability, plus a really nice way to make the gesture by following just the little dots along the way. So it's super easy to make, and that's a really good thing about this game. But there's no real reason to change spells once you pick them at the beginning. Overall, I did have fun. There's a nice story here, even though it's too short and it feels like a prologue, and there's like an epic feel. Unfortunately, the game just doesn't deliver through on that promise, and it ends up feeling like a puzzle game, escape puzzle room game. And I think it could have been so much more. It could have been so much better, and that's the really disappointing part. So I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. I'm Fast Lawyer. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.